to a slightly less than professional live stream, number 28. Can't believe we've done so many of these, but anyway. So today we're going to be talking about what happens when car shows go wrong. I was at a show this afternoon in Christchurch, which is sort of near Bournemouth, for those of you who don't know where it is. And it was interesting. I was going to meet up with a couple of people who were there, and the video from the show will actually go up onto the channel tomorrow morning. Paulie Galtieri says, "Good evening." Good evening, sir. So the video from today, it's called Classic Cars on the Key. It will actually go up in the morning. But yes, the weather was not very good today. And also, unfortunately, I didn't make it there sort of on time. About over half the cars had actually left. And it wasn't very good. It was a particularly shambolic shuffle. So yes, there we are. Tripe Mug says, "Good evening." Good evening, sir. Mr. Harwood says, "Good evening." Good evening, sir. Mr. G says, "Good evening." He's gathered that I've been busy. I have, sir, yes. I'm trying to get rid of a lot of backlog of stuff at the moment so I can actually focus on another aspect of what I do on my channel. But the thing is, I have to release certain things in a certain order. So that means that you see a lot of videos at the moment. Although we will slow down a little bit, probably once we get into the content that I actually want to kind of release, as opposed to the enormous backlog that I seem to have at the moment. I'm just going to bring up something on my channel here, so just make sure I don't hear my voice too much. There we go. That's fine, that can run. Right, so yes, Tripe Munger says, "Good evening to everybody." Chambers 101 says, "Good evening." Good evening to you as well, sir. So yes, I was at the show. Video's been edited already. It will go up in the morning. I didn't manage to meet up with the people who actually I knew were going to be there because I was late. Weather was really bad. I went in the wrong entrance, and half the cars had already left. By the time I got there, they were leaving all the time. The first thing you see is a car leaving. So that was a bit unfortunate. I actually also had, when I was there, the privilege of seeing two cars that I had already filmed for the channel. One of them hasn't even been released yet. Where we filmed that about 2 weeks ago, it's not actually been released on the channel yet. So you get to see a little preview of what is going to be happening. And also, funnily enough, that car looks different from when we filmed it. So it's sort of the other way around in the way the channel sort of comes out. Chambers 101 says, "Busy Sunday indeed. I went to the 100 Years of Scandal event at Watford earlier. Only downside is all my photographs getting lost." So that is most unfortunate. I don't like that kind of thing. I'm sorry to hear that happened. It is very frustrating. I once lost a whole video of driving through floods in the Mitsubishi Shogun. I don't even know what happened. That was terrible. And we had to refilm it. But the problem was we went to refilm it, and the weather wasn't anywhere near as bad the second time we filmed it. So I completely lost that video. It was a real shame. Mr. Andy G says, "I see I'm sitting on the beige leather sofa." Well, so I am, sir. Beige leather sofa reviews, of course, started today. And although that's not had a lot of views on it, that particular video, it's actually very significant because the mount that I demonstrate, the one from Desert West in that particular video, is the one I've actually been using for the last couple of weeks, and it's transformed the quality of the videos made for things like sensible second-hand classics, slightly shambolic SMMT reviews, and no budget reviews. They all look significantly better now I have that new mount. And there's comparison footage in that video, although I'm sure none of you don't really want to watch that, and you know the thumbnail's not particularly exciting. It's quite a long video, but I did try to make it as funny as I possibly could, and it actually did a practical purpose. I do a very thorough job in that video of assessing the three mounts I have side by side. So if you are looking for a mount to use in your car, particularly for filming, then I can do you a very good sort of in-depth analysis of that, and hopefully you get some chuckles in there as well. Right, John Cotton Classic says greetings, greetings to you, sir. Mr. G says, I see you're sitting on the beige leather sofa. I am indeed sitting on a beige leather sofa, the one that I used to film the video of that mount. Chambers 101 says, "Oh dear, there was a Morris Marina coupe in the car park. I lost that picture." I want to have a go on one of those. There's one of those actually Great British Car Journey, part of their Drive Dad's car collection. I do want to have a go in that actually at some point. Mr. Harwood says, "Are we going to have a video teaching us on how to shambolic shuffle?" No, I'm not going to do that because I have to tell people how to do it on an individual basis by enrolling them into shambolic shuffling school, which I will do. Oh gosh, this is having the problems with the focus again, like last time. It's a very good quality camera, this, but it's a bit annoying. The choice of beverage today is this Sainsbury's dry cider. That's all I happen to have, so this is what we're having tonight. Although I'm not going to have very much tonight because the more alcohol I drink, the worse the live stream goes. Diesel says, "I have a beige interior in my home," but he's not surprised. I don't really have a lot more to say about that, really, sir. Yes, once the video goes up, which will be in the morning for what I did today in the rain, for some reason the sound is really bad on it. It's not like you, it's not poor quality. It's very, very quiet. I don't really know why. I think it's something to do possibly with the fact it was raining the whole time I was there, but I filmed in the rain before and it's not gone really quiet. So I actually can't answer that question as to why it's all a bit strange, but there we go. Mr. Tom says good evening to all the other channel members. There are some channel members on the chat this evening, sir. You are correct. Mr. Harwood says I can't get tipsy. It's not good to get tipsy on a live stream, Mr. Harwood. That's not a good idea. I can definitely attest to that. Yes, so share your experiences in the chat section of terrible experiences at car shows. The one good thing about the one I attended today was actually that they're having another one. It's in a slightly different location. It's in Bournemouth rather than Christchurch. It's in 2 weeks, and I've looked at the calendar of the other shows that particular group have, and they have 3 different types of show, and I can't currently make any of them due to my calendar, apart from the one that's in Bournemouth on the 15th. So I'm hoping I'll be able to get to that, and I'll be meeting up with the original people that I was going to be trying to meet today. Carlos, good evening, sir. Carlos Sidoli, how's your cider? Any good? Let me have a sip, sir, and let me tell you what it is. It's pretty good, actually. Mustn't have too much of that, though, because it will be dreadfully less than professional live stream if I have too much of that. Mr. Harwood, let's see what we see here. Oh, sir, I've had someone shout at me because I named the Austin Healey Sprite a midget. I don't understand why they got so angry. People get really, really angry if you make a mistake like that. I mean, I remember when one of the very first shambolic shuffles I did, I called something a Robin Reliant, not a Reliant Robin. And it was, yeah, sometimes we do that because we're just used to hearing the name. And the Healey Sprite's not a very common car in comparison with the midget. They sold far more midgets than Sprites. So it's not surprising that you get it wrong. I had a pointless conversation with somebody earlier on today about electronic handbrakes, and one thing I really don't like is when people online call me mate or bud. The thing is, if someone calls you mate or bud online, you're probably not their mate or their buddy. And that's probably why I don't like it. And I shall not be continuing the discussion about electronic handbrakes because it was quite pointless. I think he sort of started his sort of comment by insulting me or something. Or so I knew it wasn't going to go well in the first place. Um, Duncan Letts says people at car shows seem very keen to leave early. Yes, yes, this is something that's a very, very, very good topic to get into. So today, the weather was really bad actually down at Christchurch at Classics on the Quay, or Classic Cars on the Quay. It's one of the two. I've seen different things written, and I got there 1:15, I think. I was at church this morning, so I wasn't able to get there any earlier. About a 45-minute drive or so. Oh, Mr. Coleman's trying to call me. I'm afraid, Mr. Coleman, I'm on a live stream, sir. So you're going to have to come on the live stream as well if you want to chat to me, because otherwise you have to wait till it's finished. So I got there, and the show was supposed to run from 11 o'clock till 5. So getting there at 1:30 is still in the first half of the show. But so many people had left. Unbelievable numbers of people had left. It said like there'd be 500 cars there, but I got there and I got through the whole show in less than half an hour. Bear in mind, at Longbridge, I did 8 half-hour parts. This was 1. So, yeah, people were just leaving. Especially if it rains, people leave early. And I remember going to Pop and Fly, which is what we're going to tomorrow, another show near Basingstoke. And I went there last August, and I was told as an exhibitor, because the car is eligible to be exhibited there, so I'm going to bring it again tomorrow, and I'll this time be with my local club, which is it's called Tesla Motor Enthusiasts. The video you would have seen went up about 4 o'clock. Excuse me, today is some of their cars. I was supposed to be told you must arrive before 9:45 and you can't leave before 4. And generally what happens whenever it gets bad at shows, people just ignore that. And I just I'd run out of stuff to do. I'd done my 3 shambolic shuffles. There weren't any more cars there. For some stupid reason, I didn't park with Test Valley Motor Enthusiasts. I parked in another row. And I was just thinking, I've got nothing else to do. And it was, most time it was kind of solidly raining. And I just kind of left at about 2, even though I was told I wasn't to. And nobody stopped me. And other people were leaving as well. I'm hoping tomorrow that actually that doesn't happen, because I decided that not only am I with the Test Valley Motor Enthusiasts, I've got a little gazebo that they put up so I can shelter from the rain in there. I'll also bring a camping chair, and so I can actually hang around a bit. I should finish about the same amount of time, but I think last time they had about like another half more space for the cars. They just didn't turn up, so there might be more videos. I don't know. It's all like a lot of things. The actual date for that show is supposed to be actually May, but it was in August last year because of the pandemic and everything else. So we'll have to see. I will get the video up tomorrow evening with that one, I think. Mr. Parr from Markham Motoring says good evening. Trouble Lee says good evening to me and everyone else. Good evening, sir. Mark from Bad Book says good evening. Good evening to you, sir. Paulie Galtieri says, I'm doing an Onslow impression holding the can, missing the Fulton Hogan hat. Yes, I think I know what you mean, sir. One of these days we will be covering Keeping Up Appearances on the channel. I know actually when I'm going to do that. I think at some point this month I'm going to try to film that video. Mr. Adam Toms says, it was 10 years ago. I was at a classic mini show and the wind was so horrific, the makeshift tent blew over and a peg damaged the trailer. Yes, when we were at Pride of Longbridge, which was last weekend, I was on a Road 45 Owners Club stand. There is a banner for that. Wayne, who's a very nice 45 V6 I parked next to, he had a banner for the club, but he didn't put it up because it would have blown over, so he didn't actually use it. It's a very nice banner. Bromley pageant that we're going to, and I'm going to stand there. He'll be bringing his car, and we'll maybe see his banner for the first time on the stand. I must remember to order my own banner, actually. That's one thing I must do before 12th of June. Oh, Simone. Good evening, Simone. Good evening to you. Simon, lot 76 cars. Good evening, sir. Simon, Simone saying hello to you. Yep. Lot 76 cars. So Simon says, it was saying Brooklands yesterday was a massive event, but from 1 o'clock the trickle out the show was growing. Yeah, I think it was actually before 1 o'clock it actually happened. So the show only started at 11, but by 1 o'clock I think half people had left today at Christchurch. Mr. Harwood says, I noticed there's a lot of snobbery at classic car shows. I ever heard someone saying something about my Rover 200. They say it shouldn't be on display, not a classic. The thing is, that's a 1995 car, and even with the Fast and Exceptional rules, that car is eligible. They're pre-98 now, and that car's approaching 30 years old. I don't really know what else to say. You don't see stuff like that anymore, really. But the definition of what a classic is so utterly vague. I had a conversation with a value about it the other day, saying like a Toyota MR2 from 2000 was not a classic, but my Renault 45 from 2003 was. I'm like, well, what's the difference then? I don't understand. I don't really understand. So it's a huge sort of grey area. What is a classic and what isn't? And perhaps one of these days we will actually talk about this on one of the live streams in depth, because I don't know the answer. I don't think there is an answer to that question. Mr. Parr is talking to Mr. Harwood, saying about the Longbridge. He did a good job of shuffling himself. Yes, Mr. Harwood did some excellent shambolic shuffles from that event. There are 4 of them, as did Alex from Alex's Assets and various other channels. Furious Driving. There's loads actually. John Kodlazik says hello to Simone. Mark on Motoring taking a compliment from Mr. Harwood. Simon from Lot 76 Cars says, to be fair, I was footsore by then. This is the shirt at Brooklyn's yesterday, as the phone battery was getting depleted for the 3rd time. Oh dear. Yeah, I know about phone battery running out of juice and shooting shambolic shuffles. That's why I use 3 different phones to film the Pride of Longbridge, including one where the wind noise and stability was just absolutely and utterly terrible. That's why I never use that normally. Oh, everyone's saying hello to everybody else still. Yes, there's I think, yes, Simone says, I got soggy at local car meet today. Yeah. Yeah. I heard that I was going to meet Amber from Dream 24/7 at the show today at Christchurch. I thought she was going to do some filming, but yeah, she said the weather was too bad to film. The thing is, if you've got a waterproof phone, like the 2 of mine are waterproof, I don't really mind getting them out and filming in them. The worst clips I've ever filmed in, which wasn't actually today, was I think 27th of December, which was at the Middle Wall at Palmy Flying Museum, and that was absolutely terrible. I can't tell you how bad the conditions were with that one. It wasn't a very big show anyway, but yeah, wow. I'm not surprised many people were there. Mr. Parr says, I drove an hour to a car meet venue today to find out whether kept people away, which is true, it happens, and didn't even bother getting the camera out. That is very frustrating, sir. Right. Mr. Harwood says, I was shattered when I got home from Pride of Longbridge. Yeah, doing 4 shambolic shuffle style videos on non-shambolic shuffles, and then you drive 300 miles in a day is not particularly the thing that's going to, have lots of energy by the end of the day. It's not surprised you ended up falling asleep 10 minutes after walking through the door, Mr. Harwood. Simon from Lot 26 Cars says, the lime Lamborghini Miura made it worthwhile. Oh, a lime Lamborghini Miura. As did the Fiat Strada and a couple of Alfa Suds. Oh, sir. I think definitely that's going to have to be a video that I shall watch. When I've added loads to my list. I've got loads of other ones I have to watch from sort of Pride of Longbridge and things. There's a lot of videos coming out at the moment on all these channels, and I know that I'm also guilty of putting out loads too. Chambers 101 says, I remember getting soaked at the All Rover Club rally one year in the 90s. Washout. Yes, I've been to events like that. Simone says, please bear with me, I'm currently editing. You might like the film. Ooh, what film would that be, Simone? Mr. G, this is a very, very good question, Mr. G. Do you have a favourite car from the Longbridge show? That's really hard, actually. One of my favourites was a Metro Vanden Pla. It was a Mark II Metro, 5-door, and it was a really nice spec. I think it was either it's a grey leather interior with electric windows and wood trim in it. The later Metro Vanden Plas are absolutely amazing. I really like them. The early one I drove was really, really good as well, but this one had a leather interior and electric windows, which, yeah, was absolutely and utterly amazing. There's loads of others. There was some nice Rover 600s, 800 coupes, absolutely loads of stuff out there. I've tried to pick one car, it's impossible from that. I think there are like 2 to 3 thousand cars there, so very hard to pick a favourite. Um, Mr. Parr speaking to Simon, lots of his cars, saying, I saw a a blue Miura back in November at the Classic Motor Show. That'll be the NEC. First time I've seen one in metal. I've seen a Miura before. I did see that one because I would have filmed the whole thing, so would have been there. Travelly says, I was in Salisbury yesterday and drove through the sticks of Hampshire. The sat nav kept on telling me to turn onto road. It didn't exist. Beautiful country, though. Yes, we'll have some Hampshire countryside on the pre-jacket reviews episode that we filmed 2 weeks ago. That'll be rather nice. Simone Hunter Classic says, oh, a car meet containing a certain interior. I wonder what sort of interior that would be, Simone. Mr. Harwood has started calling his non-shambolic non-shuffles little scooter round. Yes, little scooter around. It's very good. Little scooter around next Sunday. Small car show in a nearby village. Yes, very good. That sounds very good, sir. Simon from Lots of Its Cars says, have you ever tested an Alpha Sud? No, I haven't actually tested an Alpha Sud. I'd like to try one, sir. Paulie Galtieri says, the phone having issues, my apologies. Don't worry about that, sir. I can see that you've deleted some messages. Sherpa Fan 03 says, what are your thoughts on a Volvo 480 ES? Well, when I was growing up, our neighbours actually replaced a Triumph Acclaim with a Volvo 480. It was a black turbo with black leather interior. The 480 ES is also nice, though, in my opinion. Though the really late ones, I think it's a Celebration or something, those have a lot of equipment on them. And I would love to drive a 480, but it's like loads of cars. There's a massive list of cars I sometimes give out to people as ones I really want to drive, but I just can't get my hands on them. And various people ask me if I get hands on, whatever it is. But I just can't. It's just the way that it goes. Very often, if I don't get offered a car, I'm not talking about the brand new ones because sometimes I can get my hands on them at things like the SMMT test days. I can get my hands on quite a few brand new cars, although I have to be selective as to which ones I do because I don't have much time. But it's sort of the older cars. It's very hard to get hold of one unless I know that a particular dealership has one and they'll let me film it, or someone just randomly offers me out of the blue. That tends to be a little bit tricky. Mr. Simpson says he's enjoying the shambolic shuffles around Longbridge. Yep, 8. I've never done 8 in a day before. That was insane. I don't know if I want to do that regularly because it was mad. I was spent by the end of that. Mr. Adam Tom says, I was driving out from Devon today and saw a 1996 Hatton Sherrard Saloon. Oh, sir. I do like that. They did sell the saloon version. Very rare, but did sell them, and I sort of want one. I would prefer an applause though. That would be better. And I have seen one in the last year, and yes, I like a Daihatsu applause. Mr. Simpson says, apologies for being late, just got from the cinema. Don't worry, sir, that's fine. Paulie Galtieri says, do you think the first generation Volvo C70 Coupe and convertible will become a future classic? Both are very cheap at the moment. Yes, a lot of the older Volvos are quite cheap at the moment. 940s, 960s, that sort of stuff. The really good ones are going up in price, but there's loads of kind of, average ones that are not very expensive. And that's the same for S60, S70, V70. I think so, because one of those was featured in the Saint film from 1997. I mean, I wouldn't bother seeing the film, it's not very good. I mean, watch the original series with Roger Moore instead, or Return of the Saint, that's better than the film was. But yes, it's one of those towards the end of the film. And yeah, they're really good. I want to try one of those, actually. It'd be nice. Mr. Parr says to Mr. Harwood, I get the car snobbery of my 90s car. I find many past that shows that those are genuinely interested, keen to ask questions about it. Yes, I've got that myself because my car's a 2003. But the thing is, I think shows, say you were, in the 1990s and you had a car from 1974, 75, so it was 1993. I think you probably get that into a classic car show. Um, so I don't know what's happened in the last however many years that now we cars of the same age aren't considered classics. I don't really understand that, but that's the whole topic another time. Is what is a classic car? Um, Simon from Lot 76 Cars says we have a 77 Alpha Sud from new. My father got rid of it after a year as the doors had already started rusting, and it was Z-barted. Oh dear. We were gutted as a Volvo 345 replaced it. An early Volvo 345, they're not very good, those. The later ones, like the sort of post facelift, like 86 was a facelift of those. And those are much, much better. They're some of the sort of best ones. I really, really want to try a late 360 or a high spec 340 from that time. It's a shame I just not happened to sort of get hold of one. It's just one of these things. Chambers 101 says the Longbridge shuffles are epic. Thank you for doing them, and well done. Yes, well, that was a hard day's work. That a very, very hard day's work. Let's just see here. Simon says Jeff buys cars as quarter of the market and buying cheap Volvo C70 a case in point. Relatively pretty and still cheap. Yes, I really want to go and see if I can film some of his stuff. I'm just trying to work out a date with Mr. Hunter to go and do that because he's always got interesting stuff to film. Mark on Motoring says, Mr. Parr, pulling out to you, I don't see any reason why not, even if it does gain widespread universal appeal. Somebody will have fond memories of them. Well, that's the point of having things like Festival Acceptable, isn't it? Mark from Bad Book says, I think you filmed a Daihatsu Applause at last year's Festival Exceptional, opposite where I was. Yes, absolutely correct. I did. Trebly says, 83, what's the best executive car available? There's a couple that probably be good. One would be the Rover SD1 Vanden Plas EFI. That'll be good. And then obviously the Ford Granada Mark II 2.8 Gear X. That would be a very good one as well. Finley Plimpton says, hello, sir. Got to go in 3 minutes. Okay, that's fine. That's very good of you to watch, sir. Mr. Harwood says, Z-Bar is terrible stuff. Yes, Mr. Coleman also says that stuff. The Nissan Stanza that I filmed last year, the blue one, that was full of like Z-Bar from new, and the engine bay looked really horrible. It looked rusty, but it wasn't. It was just the Z-Bar sort of gone off. Really strange. Mr. Parr says, I filmed a Volvo meet at the Motorist a few months ago. It rained most of the time I was there, but the owners turned up with their cars and gave me interviews. Yeah, I've been to shows in mine where it's been raining. I don't, it doesn't bother me about that kind of stuff at all, really. It's probably because I can, the car we have is used every day, and also the phone I have is waterproof, so it doesn't bother me so much. I don't like getting wet though and ruining my shoes. That's not my favourite. Freddie Britton says, I really want a base model Rover 25. Ooh, that's a 1.1 version, sir. Yeah, they did exist. They're just very rare. Trabelli says, the new 5 Series from 83, yeah, that was the E28, I believe, he would like. They're not bad, actually. I just have a predilection for sort of others, I'm afraid. Sherpa Fan 03 says, base model Streetwise steel wheels are very tasty. There was a base model Streetwise with steel wheels. I think the last part of the slightly shambolic job from Longbridge, that was on there. I'd never seen a Streetwise with no alloy wheels before. They weren't common cars at all, but I mean, to see one with steel wheels is very unusual now. Rob Hall says, I've been thinking of buying a soon-to-be classic. Will a Vauxhall Omega be a good bet? Well, funnily enough, I have a review of a 2.5 V6 Omega on Tweed Jacket Reviews. It was recorded in February 2020. So if you want to see that, and then Mr. Coleman's car, he, I think, talks about it at the end. So that's probably the video you need to watch. Just go and look at check out these playlist and find the Amiga, and I think that'll answer your question, sir. Finley Plimpton says, Mr. Chris Pollitt. Yes, we know Mr. Chris Pollitt has a Streetwise with steel wheels. Yes, a very rare thing to see. Mr. Harwood says he can't wait to get himself another Row 25. Well, they're out there, sir. It's just obviously you're a very selective and discerning person, and so I think you're finding it a little tricky to find one, aren't you? Okay, Flint says must go. That's absolutely fine. Sir, you head off and have a pleasant rest of your evening. So tomorrow, hopefully, the weather will be better for the show at Popham, which is near Basingstoke, called a Popham Fly-In, because Popham's actually an airfield, so that's why they call it that. We might even see some planes going in and out there. So just have a look at the weather for Basingstoke tomorrow. Let's see what it's going to be like. Hopefully not raining. Rob Hall says he's looking it up. Yes. Tweed Jacket Reviews Vauxhall Amiga. It's a 99 actually. Wants a late pre-facelift. BBC with a Basingstoke tomorrow. Let's have a look. See what it's like. Might get away with it actually. Top chance of rain's about 15%, so it's not likely. It's cloudy. Cloudy's actually really good for filming. A lot of sunlight. When I filmed the SMMT reviews on Tuesday, there's one video. I think it's the first one, the Toyota that we did. Those will be up from the end of next week, by the way. They're all ready. They just need to be released in kind of a nice order. The light was just too much. It was horrific trying to get the light right. It's really difficult to stop the rays coming in sometimes when you're filming, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's really annoying. If you've got cloudy weather, it's much better like that. Mr. Harwood wants to find an early gold Rover 25, just like the one that I filmed on No Budget Reviews in 2020, but belonged to Mr. Jude Curry. That was like that. Mr. Harwood says you don't want to see even rusting on the Archsteel cells. No, don't want to see Rover 25 rusting on the Archsteel cells or any other car for that matter. Mr. Parr from Markham Motoring says, I'd love a Volvo 480 ES, but I hear the electronics can be very problematic. Yes, that is correct. As a child, a neighbour had a black one with red bumper inserts. Yes, our neighbour also had a black one with red bumper inserts with a turbo. He does like a set of pop-up headlamps. We do like pop-up headlamps, sir. They make things better. Chambers 101 says stuck in the bad weather. I hope it won't be tomorrow because it's only a 15% chance of rain, so we should be okay. Don't have to shelter in the marquee all day. Simone says, I hope weather is better tomorrow. I need to put my wheel hubs back on. I do hope so, Simone. Sherpa Fan 03 says, is it me or are Rover 25s with rear electric windows exceedingly rare? Yes, they are ever so rare. Really rare. You might find one something like a GXI that was a really late special edition. In fact, Mr. Harwood just said that. But as far as rest of them, you don't tend to find them because the switches for electric windows were sort of where the handbrake is, near the handbrake, rather than on like a Rover 45 where there's a place to put the electric window switch pack. So yeah, they're not very common. It's like trying to find rear electric window switches on a Maestro. They're very rare. Rear electric windows on a Maestro, very rare. Mr. Harwood says, yeah, only option on GTIs only last a year. Mr. G says, I go to Bromley Pageant. Funnily enough, sir, there's a video that's coming up on the channel next week, which actually lists all the shows that I'm attending. And yes, we're not just going to Bromley Pageant. We have our own Lloyd Vehicle Consulting and Friends stand at Bromley Pageant. There are actually some people who are on this chat this evening who will be there on the stand, which is great. So I hope you enjoy that, sir. Maybe you can come and visit us on the 12th of June. Let's see here. Fab Ali is very kindly giving me a super chat donation. That's why his chat is blue at the moment. That's very, very kind. It's a very good way of helping out because everything just costs a bit of money to do. In fact, I've just booked some accommodation for the show I'm attending. It all really, really sort of mounts up. So I'm very grateful to Trabali for that. Paulie Gatti is the city rover streetwise. I think we know the answer to that question, sir. We know the answer to the question, and it's not the City Rover. Mr. Parr from Mark on Motoring says, perhaps 25-year-old cars seem more modern today than a 60s car did in the 90s. Yeah, quite possibly. There were big advancements that have made in the way cars were manufactured between the 60s and the 90s. Maybe, again, it's the same today. I don't know. That's perhaps a question for debate. Mark from Bad Books says, my Mark II Polo is underwhelming to most at car shows from '87. Even at Festival Exception, it's very tidy. Yeah, I've driven that Polo. It's on Sensible Second-Hand Classics, and it's a bit scary because the brakes are quite bad. There's no servo assistance, and there's no power steering in it at all. So you've got to be a bit careful. It's actually really cramped. If you're a larger person, they're very, very difficult to drive because they're really small. The steering's so heavy in them. It's far heavier than anything else I've driven, apart from possibly like a Maestro or something like that. But yeah, I don't know why people just walk past it. It's possibly because the Mark II Polo's got a relatively high survival rate. I don't know. But the connection of that car is really, really good. John Cotton Classic says, hope weather is okay tomorrow as my 1750cc Allegro Estate is booked in at the Callington Classic Show. I'd really like to drive an Allegro Estate, particularly the E-Series like that. I would love to have a go in one. I very much enjoyed having a go in Alex's Allegro last year, the 1300 Super Deluxe with Quartic wheel. But I'd like to drive some more stuff like that too, if possible. Mr. Harwood says, I remember going to get the leather seats out of a Mark II Rover 25. I noticed a rear electric windows, which I have the kit as they worth a fortune. Yeah, it must be because it's so rare. Simone wants to drop by at the show in Callington tomorrow. Wonderful. Trabelli, I can't remember exactly what that's referring to, replying to Mr. Parr. Yeah, here we go. Mr. Parr says, I had a look at a TR6 last weekend that had been Z-barted years ago. It looked very good. I suppose storage conditions will be a big factor. I think storage conditions are a very big factor when you're trying to look after a classic like that. Yes. Right. Has anybody else got anything else I'd like to say? Because otherwise we can probably draw this to a close a little bit early because I've got to be at another show tomorrow morning and I really can't get there too late. Let me just check how long it takes to get there so that I know when I'm going to have to leave. I think it's about half an hour to the Popham fly-in from here. We'll just have a look and see. John Cotton Classics, welcome to Drive It. I live in Cornwall. The thing is that I've actually been offered a fair number of cars in Cornwall now, so it's not really that much of a problem. Yeah, if you have a look at most of my videos, they do actually have my email address listed on them. So by all means, John, get in touch with me. We'll see if we can sort some dates out because I'm going to see Simone anyway to drive the Cortina, and there's someone else who's got some cars down there. I've got loads and loads of offers in that area. It's just I need to sort of bulk up the numbers I'm doing there to make the trip worthwhile with these stupid fuel costs and things. But yeah, absolutely love to drive an Allegro Estate. It's so rare. So Popham is 27 minutes from here. That's good. Right. Mr. Harwood says, I have a set of very rare walnut veneered Rover 25 door grabs. That's the kind of level of detail that we have, on the car that my friend Wayne has, his 45 V6. Paulie Garcia says Moonraker Blue, Rover SD1, 3500, Vanden Pla EFI with a grey leather interior and rear headrest. If that was a beige leather interior, sir, I'd be very interested. Chambers 101 says, I've been to an off-road event. Yes, I have. I have. But it was in 1995, I think, so not for many, many years. Simone Hunter Classic says, don't forget TC. No, I'm not forgetting TC, Simone. Don't worry. That was the first one I thought of. So don't worry. Don't worry about that. Yeah, there's a channel called Pentor Cars or Pentor Classics. I forget. He's very close to where you are, Simone. He's very close to there actually, and he's got absolutely loads of cars. So it's not a problem. I would be staying down there. Don't worry. Don't worry about that. I would definitely be staying down there, taking a couple of days maybe to film all that stuff. So don't worry about that. It'll all be organised. Lot 76 car. Simon says, I've just seen a mad Skoda Rapid with a V8. How do you get a V8 into a Skoda Rapid? Crazy. A mad project. Yes, a mad one. John Cotton Classics, I'll email you. Thank you, John. That's very kind of you. Yeah, we've already covered that. In terms of Simone says worth staying down there, I certainly will do that. Chambers 101 is asking about the off-roading event I attended in 1995. It was a Suzuki off-road day. I have a friend who was the general manager of various dealerships in the 80s and 90s. First Ford, and then Honda and Suzuki, and then I think he did Vauxhall. He might have done Rover in there somewhere as well. I keep forgetting, but the ones I remember most are Honda and Suzuki. It's a joint franchise. The dealership was called John Butt Automobiles. It was based in Southampton. And he got to go to this. It was like a Suzuki dealer off-road day thing, and I got to go, which was really good. And I think we went in a five-door Vitara. Dave T Spirit PR 683 says, thank you for having a look at my mint green Rover 25 at Longbridge, the one parked by Morris Traveller. Yes, you're right about the gearbox. 17 spline clutch, anyone's an 18 spline. Yeah, it's the mid 2003 petrol Rover 25s and Rover 45s and MGZRs and MGZSs. They use a Ford gearbox after mid 2003. And the clutch, those different on a 25 and ZR, it's a cable clutch. For one and a 45 and ZS is the hydraulic clutch. Hotel Classic says, I watch Pencil Cars, great channel. Yeah. So that would be the best kind of thing to do, is to just bundle all that stuff together, and to just do all those over a period of a couple of days, I think, because I've asked, I can't remember the name of the chap who runs Pentor Cars. I forget his first name, but yeah, he's up for it, I think. So that's really good. John Cotton Classic says, see you tomorrow at Callington, Simone. That's good. Chambers 101 says, pretty cool. Yeah, the dealer events back in the day that I used to get to, one of them was a trip around. Why is my focus gone? But let's keep my head still. One of them was actually in 1994. I got to go around Cowley with my friend. I was very young. I think I was 11 or something, and it was right at the end of Maestro production, because then late 94 is when they finished, and then they started making the kits for Bulgaria, some of which then got repurposed into what we call the Apple 2000 or the Ledbury Maestros. That's a long story. You can look it up on the internet; it'll tell you. But that we saw 800s being made, 600s, and then the Maestros and Montegos. And one of the buildings there was really, really old. The chap who took us round was wearing a brown coat. It was just after BMW had taken over, so it was 94. And he'd worked there for about 30 years. It was absolutely fascinating. If you're 11 years old and you get to go to something like that, it's brilliant. And another one was going to what was then called, it's called the British Motor Museum now, but I think it was called the Heritage Motor Centre or something. And I got to go in a Defender on the off-road course when Maxwell existed. It's gone now, but That was when it was really, really new. I think it opened in 1993. So yeah, I got to go do some amazing things when I was younger with my friend, because he was a dealer principal, you see. So you got to go to all his invitations and things. Um, he only had a daughter, so I was very fortunate to be asked as like a substitute son. Um, Mr. Parr says, "I'm surprised your pod doesn't get more attention at shows, considering the Volkswagen scene is so vibrant." I don't know if the sort of Mark II Polo is like the most kind of revered Volkswagen of the 80s. I think people tend to prefer the Golfs and things like that. And also, the one I drove that belongs to Mark is not modified. It's almost entirely standard. There's some very slight alterations to it, but because he's had it from new, it's very, very standard. It's a C Ranger, which was a special edition, which then became part of the main range. And if you look at the episode of Sensible Secondhand Classics, where you actually see that car, I even showed the original brochures in it. Weather was terrible when I filmed it, actually. It's really bad that day. Fortunately, the next day, for the festival exception where it was, the weather was better, but the day I filmed it was really bad. Yeah, the car's really, really good condition. Really looks after it. And then, obviously, I think, if I get this right, I had already filmed another of Mark's cars the weekend before, because he came all the way down to Southampton to the first social event we had, and filmed the Unos that he has. So he had two cars appear on the channel in really, really quick succession. James 101 says, very nice stories. Yes, I could go on about stuff like that. At some point, we might go and see my friend Mervyn and see if he's got any more sort of stories like that. Or he's got any cars he wants you to drive. He doesn't tend to have too many classics these days. He used to have loads. There's a photograph of an MGA I've got over there that he restored in about 92. I think it was taken on 93. And I think my brother and I are sitting in the car. It's a pale blue one. So if you look at the video that went up on the channel a few hours ago, which was the Test Valley Motor Enthusiasts sort of a Drive It Day video, there's actually a pale blue MGA was almost identical to the one that he restored in that video. Here we are, Simone. Are you still planning on another Lloyd Vick Consulting social event? Yes, we're hoping to do actually two of those. There's one that's planned for June. I'm not going to go into exactly where it is because I still need to have that confirmed. There's also a second one that might be in July. Again, I need to confirm the venue. So yes, one is in the northwest, one is in the Midlands. I think that's right. The video that's going up, the Rave Leg vlog for next week, that those of you who aren't channel members on the second tier up will see, actually lists most of the shows that I'm attending. If that is at all helpful to you, you'll see that next week. Mark from Bad Books says we've been at a party at Thorney today where I filmed a polo. Yeah, it's a lovely place to film. It just the weather was really bad. Joe's one of the ones talking us say I should go and see my friend Mervyn. Yeah, I should probably go and see him. I think he's moving to Malta soon because his lady wife is from Malta and she needs to move back there because I think she's got dementia or something, so she wanted to be with her family or something. So I should probably go and see him at some stage. I spent a whole afternoon talking with old friends about Crazy Adventures in Alvis Stalwart. Excellent. Yes, I've seen those. I've never been in one of those, but I have seen them. I can't remember what show it was that I filmed in Alvis Stalwart. No, I think it was actually at the Coventry Transport Museum that I filmed that. I might be wrong. James will know that because he'll know that. I'm not very good at that sort of thing. But anyway, we're on 49 minutes. I think that might be, yes, my memory is actually better than I thought it was. Thank you, Chambers 101. So that's just 50 minutes or so. This autofocus is really annoying me, by the way. So I think that's probably enough. So thank you ever so much indeed for watching a slightly less than professional live stream. It's number 28. Thank you to Trab for the super chat donation. Thank you all ever so much indeed once again for watching. And there's loads of stuff on the channel if you haven't already seen it. It's been coming recently. got shambolic shovels coming out of my ears. Also got the slightly shambolic SMMT videos that will appear on the channel, and the review of the car that we filmed for Tree Jacket Reviews 2 weeks ago and appears in tomorrow morning's video. So I hope that's going to be entertaining for you all. Paulie Galtieri asks, where's all the B4 Passats gone? That's a good question. I am trying to get hold of one of those actually for review. Obviously, the most common version is one we don't talk about on this channel. Goodbye.